What's going on, guys, and welcome to my 2023 Miami Grand Prix driver tier list video. It's a day later than usual, but sorry about that. Had some other stuff on yesterday, so wasn't able to get it recorded. But yeah, we're here with the driver tier list today, and we're going to get straight into it. First of all, Alexander Albon. He finished P14. Just looking down at my phone here. If you see me looking down, I've got all the finishing positions on my phone, the results from the race. He finished P14. I think he qualified P12. That Williams ended up not being great, although for him to put it so high up in qualifying was a very good job by Albon. And I mean, you can't really say, I think he gets points. It's like an S, or like an 8th, 9th, maybe a 10th, it's an S. When he's P14, it's a bit lower, but I don't know, do I give that an A or do I give it a B? Because it is 4 away from points. It's 4 away from points. I really don't know if you could have done much more, to be honest. It was a good qualifying. I'm going to go A, because I really don't think he could have done anything more than that, especially considering where his teammate was, which is way, way behind. I think he did I can't give him an S because he's not on the points, but I really don't think he could have done really anything more. Fernando Alonso finished P3. I think I've just got to put him in S. I know I'm putting Alonso in S a lot, and, a P3 is becoming very natural for him. I mean, out of the 5 races so far, he's had 4 P3s, and then the other one's been a P4. So, yeah, P2 in qualifying, of course, because of Max's problem. Once again, I don't think Fernando can do any more, and I honestly think that if any of the Aston Martin, Ferrari, or Mercedes drivers end up P3, or, well, to be honest, if anyone other than a Red Bull is P3 when the 2 Red Bulls are up ahead of them, I mean, it's kind of got to be an S, because I don't think they can really do anything more. I may change that down a bit if, maybe they had a bad qualifying or something, but, on the most part, there's nothing more that Fernando could have done. He started on the front row, he ended up finishing 3rd. What really else more can you do? Valtteri Bottas finally had a better weekend than he has, well, not than Bahrain, but than he has for the rest of this season. P13 in the end for Bottas. He did get into the top 10. I think he qualified 10th, didn't he? Because he didn't set a lap time, like same as Max. And yeah, it was a better weekend from Bottas, but once again, that Alfa Romeo just isn't there on pace. I think I'm going to put him in B. It's difficult. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put Albon in B, just because I don't really... P14 is quite a bit further than it's 2 places back from where he qualified, but yeah, it's difficult for me. Bottas qualified in the top 10, but he did fall down quite a bit, so yeah, I think a B for both those guys is fair. Maybe an A for both of them, but I feel like then that's going, we're giving an A to someone who's not even in the points. So, yeah, I think a B is fair. I don't know. It's quite difficult. Nick De Vries. It was looking better for De Vries. He finally out-qualified Tsunoda, got into Q2, and then literally binned it straight away. It went straight into the back of Lando Norris at the start of the race. That broke his front wing. He ended up finishing P18, the only driver to not be lapped, but he was ahead of Sargent, who was just having a terrible weekend, and Piastri, who apparently had some car issues that was really giving him issues, and the McLaren just didn't seem good this weekend. So all in all, it's still pretty bad from De Vries. I will be honest. He had a better qualifying, but it's still not great, and I still don't think it's average, to be honest, considering where Tsunoda ended up getting to. So, yeah, I'm sorry, it's a D again for De Vries. I don't think De Vries has got anything higher than a C this whole season so far. And he's been in the DEF category for the last 3 races, I think. So, yeah, it was finally looking like something could happen for De Vries, and then he drove into the back of Norris before they even got to the first corner. So, a D it is. D for De Vries, very fitting. Pierre Gasly finished P8, but was running in the top 5 for a long time, actually, and ultimately just ended up P8 because the Alpine didn't quite have the pace, and he was not on the better strategy either, at least with his teammate. So I think Gasly actually did a pretty damn good job this weekend, and for getting the car up there in qualifying, yes, I know it was fortunate with the safety car and everything, but he did better than Ocon in that regard. And Ocon, although he caught up to him in the race, did have the better strategy. So I'm going to give up. What have I done? No, you go there. I'm not putting Gasly in F. I'm going to put him in A. I think Gasly really did a good job. He's bounced back after a couple of pretty poor weekends. And yeah, had a good performance there. Lewis Hamilton finished P6. He did have a pretty woeful qualifying though. Now, yes, in the race, he fought his way through, got up to 6, did a very good job. But qualifying didn't go too well for Hamilton. To be fair, the Mercedes didn't look good either, but he qualified 13. Russell ended up 4th. So I think it was 4th, or was it 6th? I think he finished the race 4th. I think he qualified 6th. But yeah, I'm going to put Hamilton in B. It was a good recovery drive for the race, but I have got to let him down a little bit for qualifying because P13, just not good at all qualifying there. Nico Hülkenberg finished where is he? P15. Pretty poor weekend from Hülkenberg, actually. But the Haas wasn't amazing here. It wasn't as good as we expected. Magnussen definitely got the better of his teammate this weekend. But yeah, I think I've got to put Hülkenberg in a C. I think it's one of those it's kind of a Haas C. It was fine. It was average. Didn't really expect him to get points. Definitely wasn't there with his teammates. So yeah, it's just a C. Charles Leclerc. Not a good weekend from Leclerc, I've got to be honest. 7th place in quali because he crashed. He caused the red flag in quali. Finished 7th in the race. Was getting caught back. I mean, no, he had a battle with K-Mag. That was later on, but I think, yeah, he ended up losing 10 seconds or something to K-Mag at one point. Eventually, towards the end of the race, brought it back and got past Kevin Magnussen after a couple of attempts though. And yeah, although the Ferrari didn't look great, definitely outperformed by Sainz this weekend, and ultimately just not a good weekend. Not a good weekend from Leclerc. Do I give him a C or do I give him a D? He crashed in qualifying, which caused him the issue. He wasn't really there in the race. I think I'm going to give him a D. It's harsh, but I really think he just was not on it this weekend. He really wasn't. He pushed too hard in quali, and then in the race, he just was nowhere. He dropped places at the start, and yeah, was battling with a Haas. So not good from Leclerc. Kevin Magnussen had a great race. Well, he had a good race. I mean, he qualified 4th with all the shenanigans going on. And then finished in 10th, so scrounged out a point for that. I think that's going to be an A. I think that's really good for Magnussen. He's definitely had the better weekend of the two Haas drivers, so yeah, an A performance. Lando Norris, 17th, qualified 16th, finished 17th for Norris. I think it's mainly down to the McLaren just not being there. The McLaren was not good this weekend at all. So because of that, I think I'm going to stick him in C. 17th for Norris is not a good result, but I don't think it's his fault. I think the car just wasn't there because Piastri wasn't there either. I mean, he had issues too, but yeah, I think just a C for Norris. It's kind of hard to figure out where McLaren are because one weekend they're like top 10 runners and the next weekend they're in the bottom 5. So it's very strange, very sad for McLaren fans. Esteban Ocon ended up finishing P9, just behind his teammate Gasly. Ended up on the better strategy. Didn't quite have the good qualifying that Gasly did. I think ultimately it's still a B though, but yeah, I do think Gasly had a better weekend this time around. Sergio Perez ended up finishing P2. Of course, got pole, but yeah, Max Verstappen went from 9th. Got past Checo and finished almost 5.5 seconds ahead of him in the end. I think because of that, even though he still has finished P2, yeah, the Red Bulls are way quicker than everyone else. I think I've got to give him a B for that. I don't think it was the best performance from Checo after the highs of Baku. Definitely wasn't quite on the pace this weekend, although he did at least get that first lap in to give himself pole. Max didn't do that, but yeah, in the race, the pace was just way off. He was never going to get pole if that didn't happen. And Max did actually get a lap together, but he didn't, so you've still got to give him that. Oscar Piastri, yeah, like I said, I think it's P19 for him in the end. I heard that he did have some issues with his car, though, So I'm a little bit dubious of giving him anything worse than a C. I know that a C might seem like, whoa, you're giving Piastri a C for finishing 19th in a McLaren. Yeah, but he had issues and the McLaren wasn't there. I mean, Lando finished 17th, so it just shows how bad McLaren were. So I'm just going to put them together. From what I remember, Piastri actually got a pretty good start to the race and then had this issue and just fell way back. So I think I've just got to give him a C. There's not really anything more to say in that regard. George Russell ended up finishing P4, qualified P6. Definitely the better of the two Mercedes drivers this weekend. It's not an S performance, I don't think, but it's an A performance. It's a good performance from Russell. Very good stuff. Capitalized, pretty much maximized everything he could have done there. Who else have we got? We've got Carlos Sainz, who finished P5, qualified ahead of Sainz because he didn't crash. And to be honest, even generally, just looked to have the better of Sainz this weekend, but still wasn't super good. Of course, he had the issue where he locked up his wheels, locked up his brakes into the pit lane and got a 5-second penalty. Ended up P5 behind Russell and Alonso. Could have maybe beaten... I don't know about Alonso. Alonso was kind of in another level. Maybe could have beaten Russell. I don't know. He was like almost 10 seconds behind him. I think it's a B. I think it's a B for him. It was fine. It was all right. Definitely a better weekend than Leclerc. Logan Sargent, qualified P20, finished P20. Yes, the Williams wasn't great, but his teammate was in 14th. His teammate qualified 12th. I don't think it's an F because he didn't crash this weekend, but it's an E. I just don't think Logan Sargent's really... He needs to deliver. Logan Sargent and Nick De Vries, the two drivers that I think really need to deliver throughout this season, because they're really just underperforming. I know they're both rookies, but Sargent now is getting to the point where it's like, all right, you've had your first few races. You really need to be getting to that level now because he either is quick and crashes or just isn't on the pace. So, yeah, it's got to be an E for Sargent. Lance Stroll, another terrible weekend for someone. Stroll finished P12 in the end. Not where that car belongs, was just behind Tsunoda. Another lap or two, and it looks like he probably would have got him because he was only about half a second behind. But yeah, qualified P18. I mean, terrible. I know it was partly because the team didn't go out on the other set of tyres, but you've got to put it on him as well. He didn't work his way through. I expected him to at least get some points. So for me, that is not a good weekend from Stroll. I'm actually going to put him in a D. I think that's a pretty poor weekend for Stroll. I'm maybe being a little bit harsh with Leclerc and Stroll here. Maybe should be in a C, but yeah, I'm trying to be harsh here. I'm trying to be realistic. Yuki Tsunoda finished in his favourite spot. I'm sure it actually isn't, but P11 for Tsunoda. Didn't have the best qualifying, but yeah, brought it back in the race. I think a pretty good performance. Do I give him an A because he didn't have the greatest quali, but P11 in an AlphaTauri, that does not seem good. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to put him in A. I think he actually did really good. Tsunoda's definitely proving that he's a good driver this season. It's taken him kind of an extra year to what maybe we would have expected, but he's really maturing so far this season, and he's definitely proving to be the better of the two AlphaTauri drivers, so I'm very happy with that. Max Verstappen, it's easy. It's got to be an S. He didn't get that lap in qualifying, but he made up for it in the race. He just absolutely dominated, made some great moves, got past his teammate 5.5 seconds up the road. It's got to be an S for Verstappen. And then Zhou Guanyu finished in P16. He was about 7 seconds behind his teammate. Yeah, it's just a C for Zhou. There's not really much to say. Didn't really see him. Didn't have the pace over Bottas this weekend like he has done for most of this season. But yeah, it was just kind of a C. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.